Welcome back to another episode. Yes, another episode of Tevora Talks. I am your host, Cash, and as always, joined by my co host and partner in cybercrime, Mr. Matt Mosley. How are you, sir?
Doing a lot better. Not melting in the Pacific Northwest. I don't know if you heard about us
Oh, yeah, that
over
heat
the
wave was
weekend.
crazy. What
Yeah,
was it out there? Like 100 something?
it was 116, I think was the max, and we broke
Holy
we
Lord.
broke the record by 1 degree, like on Saturday, and then we just shattered that record by 8 degrees Monday.
That's crazy. Does it typically get that hot up there? I don't think so, right?
No, there's people here that don't even have air conditioners. So
Wow, that's interesting.
yeah.
Those guys are probably really struggling.
Yeah, yeah. I went to like 4 or 5 different places for ice. Nobody had ice. I just wanted to get some ice for. We were having some people over for a barbecue. That was a mistake, by the way. We should have just stayed indoors. But
The outdoor barbecue in the heat.
yeah. But yeah. So no ice anywhere. People were like fleeing out to the coast, and there was nothing available for them to stay the night, so they'd have to fly or drive back. Anyway, just happy to not be melting anymore.
Yeah, I came to our nice, beautiful office here, and I'm enjoying the nice air conditioning here today because
There you
it's
go.
yeah, why not? If I don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, you know one person that's not enjoying air conditioning?
Who?
John McAfee.
John McAfee. Oh, you went there.
Is
You
that
did
too
it.
soon? I mean,
Was it? No, it's too soon.
he's a
It's not
crazy
too
guy. I
soon.
don't think I don't think you can really disrespect him too much. I don't know.
But it has been a crazy
Dating
week,
him
right?
for over.
McAfee. Like, he's a topic of our discussion today, ladies and gentlemen. If you have not figured, here's a quote from McAfee. I wanted to just highlight this, just to kind of, give a good setup to this conversation we're gonna have about this guy. Quote: "I've been called paranoid, schizophrenic, the wild child of Silicon Valley." John McAfee.
Yeah, he definitely was all of those things.
Yeah, all of the above.
100%.
You showed. I mean, I'll pass it to you. I don't even know where to get started. Right? There's just too many good
There's
talking.
so many things to talk about.
So many things, but I don't know
I'll
this.
start a little early, but then we're gonna dive into the deeper stuff later
Yeah,
on
yeah,
in his life.
yeah,
I mean, just the fact that the guy built one of the biggest antivirus companies in the world, right? Even today, by today's standards, I mean, CrowdStrike is pretty huge, and their IPO is huge and everything. But like McAfee, I mean, I don't even know how many instances are installed across the world.
yeah.
And this
No,
guy cashed out 3 years later after he started the company for $100 million, and then just went and you think that would be like the highlight of his life, right? Like Bill Gates, like everyone knows him for Microsoft, even
yeah.
though he's done a lot of things afterwards, like philanthropy and stuff like that. You don't really hear a whole lot about him, dude. John McAfee just
He is the wild
I'm
child.
going to
He
the
is the
moon,
wild
man.
child.
No rest for the wicked.
Oh yeah, this guy's on a different. Like, we're actually probably in his world. You know what I'm saying?
So I will address that because he actually kind of makes reference to that. So yeah, we'll start off a little early. So in the mid 1940s, obviously John McAfee was born in the UK. He was a military brat. So I don't think he had dual citizenship. I think he was just American. But anyways, moved back to Virginia when he was real young, and then there, unfortunately, his father committed suicide at 15, which could have set him up for his crazy life. I'm not really sure what what the root cause was there, but I'm
Yeah,
sure
could have
losing
been
your
a
father at a
catalyst or
young age
something.
probably didn't help. So he goes on to college, gets kind of goes, starts a business selling magazines door to door, makes some money, but not enough to really, cash out and retire. Begins working for a company that coded punch cards. Do you remember
Okay.
punch cards?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So punch cards they used to be used for, that's how you would program computers, right? Back in the day.
Yeah.
And it was funny when I was in college, one of the guys, one of my teachers, I think it was like Comp Sci 101 actually, but he used to be a developer for Boeing or Lockheed, and he had boxes and boxes of punch cards, and that's what we would take our tests on.
No way.
Kind of fun, yeah, a little piece of computer history.
How
But
fun.
yeah, so he started this company, and he helped them basically program train schedules on a new IBM computer system using these punch cards. And the company was the Missouri Pacific Railroad. Well, while he was at this job, which you'd think would be pretty low key, kind of stress free, no big deal. Maybe it
Mhm.
was stressful. I'm not sure. He decided to really dabble into drugs. He probably already was dabbling in drugs, but I guess at this time in his life, he really got into kind of the harder drugs.
Okay.
And yeah.
The tr- from the
So
train company. Who know? Who knew?
who knows, man?
All
According to
right.
Wired article, he went to work many days tripping on LSD. So now it was the 60s, right? So that was kind of the thing. Um, but one day he was sold a bag of DMT. Do you know what DMT is?
Yes, yes. Isn't that the drug where you're like supposed to see God or something
Yeah,
like
I
that?
think it's the God drug, right? Or something
All
like that
right.
they call it. So you get like super, hallucinogenic, spaced out, everything, right? So he, according to the article, snorted a line of the drug and felt
Oh
nothing.
God.
So then he decided to do the whole bag, because that's what
Oh,
you do, right?
he did the whole bag. Like I don't even know how much of his
I
how
don't know
much
how
of his
big the bag
dose.
was, right? It doesn't say, but according to McAfee, all hell broke loose. Quote unquote.
Oh man.
He freaked out, ran outside. People were asking him questions. He couldn't understand them. He just hid behind a trash can. Um, the punch card printer machine was just printing nonstop. Who knows what it was printing? Um, the anyway, he was so gone that to this day, or at least at the time of the writing, he says he still feels like part of him is tripping, and that this is all one big giant hallucination, and he's gonna wake up. He's gonna wake up back in St. Louis on his couch listening to Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon.
That's so fun. That's the day he entered the Matrix and he has yet to leave.
Right, exactly. So that's what I meant earlier. Is maybe we are part of this giant
Yeah,
hallucination
maybe
in
we
John McAfee's
are.
head.
I mean, some people are, to those that don't know, John McAfee did pass away about a week ago. But then there's that whole, I feel like every time some, major public figure dies, there's that whole side of the team that's like, he's not really dead, or it's fake,
Oh,
or
right, like Tupac, man. Like
yeah,
Tupac's
Tupac's
still
still
alive.
alive.
I'm a firm believer John McAfee's still alive. I think he had the means
They're all in Cuba.
and the money to get it. He had the what is it, he had the need and the means to get out, and he could have paid off guards. I don't know, but being extradited back to the U.S. for tax evasion and or whatever other charges he was being brought up on, definitely is an incentive to fake your death, if not uh, commit suicide. If that is true, we'll never know.
We'll
Like,
never
I don't
know.
know, but I would not be surprised if he popped up 5 years later and was like, "Yeah, I'm still here. I'm running for president."
Again.
And we'll dabble in that a little bit as to his methods for escaping law enforcement a little bit later. We're getting there. We're getting there. This guy was a crazy
It's too
mofo.
much. Yeah, like where do you go from here? Like,
Dude,
what's
there definitely has to be a movie made about this guy.
I think
And
so.
as one Redditor said, and if you're out there listening, and I don't know what your username was, but you said something about half the movie should be played by like the legend Nicolas Cage. And then after like at some point switch to Gary Busey.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's really good. He does look like, I mean, I can see it. His physical appearance is definitely a little bit more
Little Nick
Busey
Cage. Yeah.
and Cage. I don't know if they
And
had
later
like,
on, Gary Busey. Yeah.
yeah, later I'm looking at his old picture here. This is in 2016. He kind of has a Busey vibes,
Yeah.
which is
He's definitely got some Busey vibes.
But I think maybe if Nicolas Cage and Busey had a kid, um, is that make? I don't even know. Is that a
It'd be
thing?
this super being known as
Yeah.
John McAfee.
Yep. The wild child of Silicon Valley.
Yeah. Oh, perfect segue. So then McAfee moved to Silicon Valley in the
Oh God.
1970s, where he held numerous jobs for various tech companies, including NASA's Institute for Space Studies. But really, what kind of set him off for success was his work at Lockheed. I think it was Lockheed. And at Lockheed, and this was in the 80s, they started studying these new emerging threats that were coming out, computer viruses.
Okay.
And in 1986, the first virus hit PCs, right? And so McAfee, he knew how to program and he saw what was happening. So he decided to write an antivirus program to help protect these computers. And by the end of the 1980s, he started McAfee Associates, and by the end of the 1980s, the company sold for was making $5 million a year, and it was some of the two, and sold their software to some of the biggest companies in the world. Right,
All right. All
still
right.
continues to this day because McAfee's huge. Like that brand is huge.
Oh yeah. Everybody knows.
I mean, I remember early in my security career, um, like learning all about the different McAfee products. I mean, they were buying companies left and right. Like, I won't go down this path, but they would buy these companies that were legitimate, like good products, and then absorb them into the McAfee um, ecosystem, I guess, for lack of a better term. And they were all supposed to work together, which would have been amazing, but I don't believe they ever did properly work
Probably
together.
crushed them or something.
Yeah, unfortunately. But there was some stuff that was pretty good, but it never worked quite as what it was planned out to be. Anyway, I digress. So in 1992, there was a huge virus, or supposedly a huge virus, called Michelangelo that hit the scene.
Uh-huh.
And at this time, McAfee went out and was calling it the worst virus to date, telling people it would infect about 5 million computers. And at the time, people didn't really know a whole lot about it, but they definitely wanted to protect their data, especially in 1992, right? We'd from the 80s to 92, like consumer computers had really started, in the, I guess, mid 80s to early 90s, consumer PCs had really started going home. I mean, people had computers, but it wasn't like a main thing, right? Because
No, I think
AOL
that's
and all that stuff would start to come out about this time.
yeah. I think that's about right because I remember the first PC I went and bought with my dad. Like that was like just I use it for whatever, school, fun, and whatever. It was probably around that. I think
Yeah.
92, 93. I was probably a little 7, 8 years old or something.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, people started to get scared and started buying the software even more. Um, in the end, that virus was estimated to only affect about 10,000 machines.
No way.
But good job, John McAfee, for scaring everybody.
Wow. That's crazy. Do you think he did it intentionally?
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, this guy lived this crazy life. I wouldn't be surprised if he wrote the Michelangelo virus. So, but that virus is pretty interesting. It would go after the master boot record. And
Okay.
it would actually change it would move the original master boot record to cylinder 0, head 0, sector 7. So it'd be 007.
Oh my God. That's so funny, man.
Right. Pretty funny.
For sure, this guy wrote it himself.
I mean,
McAfee, Michelangelo.
I wouldn't be surprised, dude. I
You
wouldn't
take
be
out my
surprised.
tinfoil hat for a second. I don't know. I wish we would have been able to ask him a lot more of these answers,
Right.
questions.
Yep.
Dang.
So
Where else did it go? Let's see.
So
Keep going.
Michelangelo propelled McAfee to go public. It turned into a multi-million-dollar business. In 1994, McAfee he left the company. He resigned. 2 years later, sold his shares, which gave him about $100 million. So in 96, I guess, which must have been sitting pretty good. $100 million in 96.
Dude,
Still
that's a
good by today's
lot.
standards.
I have 100. We have 100 million Shiba Inu coin.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna follow this guy's footsteps, dude. 100%.
We'll get there.
100%. I've been to Belize. I know where to go. We got this.
He was a big avid supporter of cryptocurrency too.
He was. Yep. In fact, part of the part of his indictments were for a pump and dump scheme that he did with crypto.
I mean, tax evasion. What better coin system to go around that, right? For sure, did some shady activity, money laundering, or
yeah. The government accused him of hiding crypto, and he's like, "I wish I would have hidden crypto." I'm like, "Yeah, right, dude. Like
Yeah.
you didn't hide crypto."
This guy for sure has crypto hidden in like USBs in the walls of his house or something like that.
100%. We'll get there. We'll get there because this guy is a crazy mofo, or was, I should say. Was, I don't know if he's still alive. Is
his consciousness has been transferred to the cloud for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was working on that too.
You never know.
Have you seen that movie Transcendence with Johnny Depp?
No, I don't think I have. I've seen.
You're not missing much, but this guy
awesome.
puts his consciousness on the internet.
That's crazy.
I could see John McAfee trying to do.
He's just waiting. He's waiting for the right time, and then watch. Everybody's gonna start getting hacked.
Yeah. It's gonna be like Hackers, the movie with the Da Vinci virus. It's gonna be John McAfee.
Yeah, there you go.
Unless $5 million is deposited in the following accounts, I will 5 oil takers. So yeah, 2008 hit, right? Everyone got hit by the economic collapse, the housing bubble. So estimated reports say that his fortune shrank from 100 million to just shy of 4 million.
Wow.
Yeah, so that'd be pretty detrimental, and I'd probably do a lot of drugs then too.
Yeah, for sure.
Which he did. So in the late 2000s, McAfee decided to sell off pretty much everything he owned. Properties in Colorado, Florida, California. I think boats. He had a 10-passenger plane that he sold. Like, dude, baller. But yeah, he sold all this stuff and he moved to Belize. Have you ever been to Belize?
I've never been to Belize.
That's a sketchy place, by the way.
Is it like sketchy in a good way or sketchy in a good hideout?
Sketchy in a not good way. I've been around the world quite a bit to a lot of different places and a lot of places in the United States, and I've never been afraid to walk the streets in all the places I've been. Right, and Belize, one night was super freaked out. Like nothing happened, obviously, because I'm still here, but man, I've never been more afraid. Like
no kidding. I mean, it's a pretty popular tourist destination, is it not? I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I might have just gotten into my head that night or something, but man, it was it was not fun. Like I went with a bunch of friends. There was like 10 of us, and I was the only one that didn't enjoy myself on that trip. So
that's so funny.
I could have been just the crazy one, but anyway, it is a sketchy place.
You weren't drunk enough, maybe. That's what it is.
It's true. It was the first night we were there, so. But yeah, we had some friends that were staying at a different hotel than us, and that hotel told them to not let us walk alone at night and to walk along the beach and not take the streets, because our hotel was like, I don't know, 3 or 4 buildings down the beach, so we weren't that far from each other. But they said to take the beach and not the street because, for whatever reason, like you're safer to go the beach route. So.
Wow, that's crazy. How many years ago? Just curious. Off topic.
So this was actually around the same time that McAfee fled Belize in 2012.
He left Belize, and
we had just flown home. I think the next day it was on the news that he had was sought for the murder of his neighbor, which we're going to get to right now.
Oh my God. All right. It's getting better and better.
Yes, John McAfee and I have crossed paths a couple times, apparently, which I didn't know about.
That's
so he was in Belize, and then he ended up here in Portland. And anyway. Yeah, he's a crazy guy, dude. Like, it's really interesting, but almost to the point where it's like a car accident, right? Like, this guy is going off the deep end, and you just can't take your eyes off him.
Oh yeah, this guy. I mean, he's like doing a lot of very extremist I don't know, projects and outlandish ideas and just crazy. What is this thing you just said? So he flew back because he
Oh
was
wait,
on
before we get there,
accused.
so he went to Belize to get into antibiotics because he thought that that was the next big thing, and he set up his own like DIY DIY chemistry lab.
And he was processing antibiotics over there.
He was trying to develop like different things. There's a lot of speculation as to what he was developing, but one thing I heard, and I tried to find this today to try and back it up with some fact, but I know for a fact I read it or heard it somewhere that he was trying to develop Spanish fly. Do you know what Spanish fly is?
No, I don't.
It's a mythical drug that doesn't exist, but people have always talked about it, and it's basically to excite women. Um, I'll just leave it at that because I don't know what we can cover on this company podcast. But anyway, he was doing that. He was doing all kinds of weird stuff. He actually posted on a Russian forum that he was looking to dial down some of the hallucinating drugs so that you got all the great effects like the euphoria and the aphrodisiac aspect of it, but didn't get the crazy paranoia piece of it. So he was experimenting with a lot of hallucinogens, it sounds like. Um, but yeah, just a crazy guy.
So is it so like the Spanish like fly? Is it a because I'm like Googling it and it's like the Spanish fly is an aphrodisiac.
yeah, it's a mythical aphrodisiac. Like I don't think it actually exists, or I could be wrong. But he was trying to develop that to give
How
to women.
weird. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So that's we're there.
McAfee.
Are you
All
still
right.
with me?
I'm kind of. I mean, are we still talking about the same guy?
So
This
then he starts having issues with his neighbor, which I guess had been going on for a couple years. But he was another expat from Florida, and this guy was a builder, construction guy on the island. Everyone liked him apparently, but him and John McAfee used to get into it all the time because they lived pretty close to each other. I think they were next door neighbors, but there was, there was some land between them. And whatever reason, this guy didn't like John and his dogs walking on the beach or near him or something.
okay.
And something happens to John's dogs, right? McAfee's dogs. They were poisoned supposedly. And then the neighbor ends up shot with a 9mm into his head. So
What?
right. Yeah.
So dies? The neighbor dies?
Oh yeah,
Or
he was murdered. The maid came to his house to do chores, her daily chores. She found him. By that point, there was a laptop and an iPhone that were missing, and John McAfee was gone. Right, and so the police, law enforcement or police, were looking for him as a person of interest, 100%, because he was the neighbor. They had a feud, and he disappeared the same time this guy's found murdered. Like, come on, right?
Huh.
So John McAfee flees the country and he goes right next door to Guatemala. And while he's there, reporters are trying to find him and everything. And this crazy mofo freaking makes himself into his own disguise. Like he he took chewing gum and he wedged it in his cheeks to make his cheeks look bigger. Like um like he put on more weight than he
Oh,
normally
like the
would have.
mafia style, like from Godfather. That effect?
Right, yeah.
Okay, okay.
This is from his own uh testimony, right? Like on his blog that he was posting up. He took a tampon and like cut it in half and colored it brown and then shoved it up his nose to give like a weird like distortion to his face. And then he wore like some ragged clothes and he kind of walked with a limp and a hunch in his back. And he was selling like I don't know what he was selling, like wood figurines or something. And he was walking around the beach
What?
and this was his disguise. And he like proudly boasts that he almost sold a wood carved dolphin to an AP reporter that had no idea that it was him. He's such a weird guy.
What a crazy character, man.
He's so
I'm
weird.
reading into that. Hold on, he was walking around disguised, pretty much hiding in plain sight kind
He
of
did
situation.
he did
This is
two disguises, right? So the first one, he dyed his beard, he did the tampon thing, he darkened his skin with some shoe polish. So it sounds like he did a little bit of blackface going on there, or brown face. And then put
okay.
on like some traditional I forget what he called it, but it was like a pair of ragged brown pants, holes punched out, worn old ragged long sleeve shirt. Oh, and donned an old Guatemalan style serape. Is that how you say it? Sarape. Anyway,
Yeah,
dude's
sounds good.
crazy, right? So that was one of his disguises. The other one was a drunk German, and he would walk around with speedos and a tacky Hawaiian shirt, and he was just really loud, obnoxious, and people didn't think that he was. And he spoke German, obviously, and people didn't think he was John McAfee. So it's
So what
just
happened with the case with his neighbor? Did he get away with it?
he never got
I mean, I'm reading into it. It
never
sounds like
got brought up on charges. Never. So what happened was he's in Guatemala, right? And he had crossed the border illegally. So now the Guatemalan police were after him, and some reporters had found him, or he had reached out to them. I'm not sure which had happened, but it was I believe it was the Associated Press. Maybe it was someone else, Wired magazine. I'm not sure. Someone got a hold of him though. And what had happened is when they took pictures of him in Guatemala, they had left the metadata in their pictures and posted online, and had GPS coordinates to where they took those pictures. And so then the Guatemalan police found him and got him, and they arrested him for illegally coming into the country, and then they were going to extradite him to Belize for questioning in the murder case. And then this crazy mofo again fakes a heart attack,
oh my
and they
god.
and they like send him back to the U.S. And then he came back here, and he was like living the life for a little while, and the news went crazy for him. While he was back here, but never faced any charges in Belize. Never, never got anything. Like, I don't think they even finished that investigation. So got off scot free. Oh, it was Vice reporters. Sorry. So
This
the
guy, he
Vice
seems like a
reporters
pretty
posted
slippery.
pictures of
He's a
McAfee.
pretty slippery guy. I'm pretty sure a lot of his $100 million wealth that dissipated went to paying for things like that. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. So that was 2012. 2013 ends up in Portland, Oregon. Huh?
Nice. He
Yep.
came to your hood. That's like his. What was he doing there?
Keeping it weird. That's what we do here.
That's the best place, right? I mean, I guess for his kind of lifestyle, what a better place than Portland.
I don't think you could find a better place. Yeah. So he, I don't know what prompted this, but he decides to create a YouTube video called "How to Uninstall McAfee Antivirus." And in this video, he's surrounded by local Portland strippers that he hired, and he fakes like he's doing various drugs. He lights a cigarette with $100
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bill, and he tells people how to uninstall McAfee. I think, I don't know, because I really wasn't paying attention to what was being said in the video.
Yeah, how can you? That video, I watched a little bit of it. We will definitely. I don't know if can we put the clip, the link. Regardless, you guys out there, whoever's listening, go Google how to uninstall McAfee antivirus
Yeah.
and watch it.
Yeah. So then he gets into some issues with the local property manager here at his apartment complex. He gets a protective, what do they call it? I don't know. Basically, a restraining order against him. So he has to move. So he goes somewhere else in Portland, and then same thing happens there. So finally, he leaves Portland, and I think he goes somewhere on the East Coast. I want to say he's like in Tennessee or something, but I could be wrong. There, he announces his candidacy for president in 2016, and in that video, if you want to watch his presidential campaign video,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
he
yeah.
talks about how he met his wife who was a prostitute in Miami. He talks about the drugs he's done, the guns he carries on him at all times because some big Belize cartel is after him. He has private security that's talking about arming his property and putting in remotely controlled fireworks.
What?
Just, I don't even know where to go, man. He's just so
This is like
crazy.
it almost sounds like a like the Hollywood writers, they got high and then they always just started writing a story that had no direction and they just kept on developing the character.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like what's that thing in The Office where Steve Carell is like, sometimes I start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going, but I just keep running with it. Like, all right, I don't know how it's gonna end, but I just keep running with it.
That's this guy for sure. There's absolutely no direction. It depends, I guess, how well the Quaaludes hit that day.
For sure.
For McAfee to figure out what he was gonna do. He's like, oh, I don't know, let's launch a new company.
Yeah, so let's recap because it's a lot to take
Yeah,
in,
let's
right?
recap. Let's
Creates
recap.
this global antivirus super giant, makes $100 million, retires in like at 50 something. Okay.
All right, with
Maybe
you.
50, late 40s. Uh goes to Belize, starts creating antibiotics and drugs, possibly murders his neighbor, possibly, allegedly. We don't know. Uh, flees to another foreign country, gets captured, fakes a heart attack, comes back to the United States, gets evicted, basically, moves to the East Coast, and is now running for president.
What a guy. What a guy.
What a Cinderella story, really. I mean,
I got to give
you
it
want to
to
talk about
him.
American heroes.
Yeah, this guy is definitely like the, never give up. There you go. That's this guy.
Yeah. Then he gets involved in a crypto like currency pump and dump scam, tax evasion. That's when he flees the country and goes to Europe, where he gets caught in Spain. And unfortunately, the end of the story comes where he gets notified that he's going to be extradited. Left alone in his cell for hours, which I don't even know. Does that happen in prisons? And a cell that he shares with someone, and commit suicide. No one saw it coming. No one checked on him for hours, and that's the end. That is the legendary life of wild child John McAfee.
Wild child John McAfee. Holy Lord.
And so I don't really know how that plays into hacker history. I guess because he created antivirus. I wouldn't say he was like, well, I don't know.
I mean, he was like the first of the first that actually made a program. I mean, he came and he definitely talked against it a lot after he sold it, right? He's like, this program just literally kills your computer speed, more or less.
Yeah.
Right. But at least he was one of the first that tried to do something to help prevent some kind of damage to the computer. Yeah. I remember though, honestly, I remember when I would get a new computer and that thing would all of a sudden pop up. It didn't matter what I was doing. Like my computer would become so useless, like inoperable. I couldn't even cancel the McAfee scan. It got so slow.
Yeah.
But
I remember sitting at McAfee headquarters in Plano, Texas, and some guy was up there talking, and I thought this was hilarious, but he's up there talking and he's like, he asked the audience, now we're sitting in McAfee headquarters, and he says, so we saw this virus and did McAfee catch it? And he asked the audience, and like everyone just went silent because at that point, I'll be honest, like it's kind of a coin toss as if McAfee's going to catch it or not, right? Like nobody knows. So nobody says anything. It's just silent. There's probably 100, 200 people in this room. And the guy finally just speaks up. He's like, I'll save you you can stop holding your breath. Yes, McAfee caught it.
That's so
and
funny.
Everyone just starts laughing and snickering. It was great. So, but yeah, dude, I think McAfee's kind of fallen, and this is just my own personal opinion, fallen a little, lost a couple steps in its technical abilities. Still think it's an okay product, right? Like I don't think it's terrible. I think at the very least you definitely want something. But McAfee has a lot of good other products that are out there, and the fact that you can pretty much run them from the ePolicy Orchestrator (EPO)
Mhm.
is pretty good. So I do. There are some gives and takes and some good things that McAfee, the company, does, not John McAfee.
Yeah, the new company that like
Yeah.
pretty much took over and said, McAfee, just please never call us. Don't you have nothing to do with this company. We
Yeah.
will handle it from here
Like
on
they
out.
have a product for every space in cybersecurity,
They
right?
do.
Like if
They
you
have a
need a
lot.
intrusion detection system, they got it. You need a network intrusion detection system, they got it. Do they talk together? Yeah,
Probably
maybe.
not.
Not sure.
Who
Maybe.
knows?
Do they have mobile device management? Yes. Is it good? It used to be. I don't know because I haven't seen it for a couple years, but it was pretty decent for mobile device management. Do they have full disk encryption? Yep. Is it easy to deploy? I think so. Pretty sure it
Questionable.
was pretty easy. Pretty easy to deploy. Can you run all that stuff with EPO? Yeah, you can, which is pretty awesome, right? And McAfee endpoint detection talks to EPO, and you can do patches and all kinds of cool stuff, which is pretty cool. In fact, there was a company that at that McAfee meeting, they did power, energy saving policies that would save companies like thousands of dollars a year in power consumption, energy
No
consumption.
kidding.
And you could
That's
push that
interesting.
out through EPO. So I mean, there's some really cool stuff that McAfee has done. But they're not just again, my opinion, I don't think they're the top anymore as far as antivirus and security solutions go, but I could be wrong. So
Well, I think they're kind of like spread pretty thin, right? They're kind of like the inch deep, mile wide kind of situation. They don't, I don't know if
I would
they,
agree with that. I think that's exactly probably what happened is they had all these great products that they acquired, and then trying to get them to talk to each other was probably just a lot to do. So maybe one day when they get it all working together, it'll be awesome. But I mean, I'm talking from my experience like 5 years ago, where different things were written in different languages. For example, like the mobile device management system was written in Silverlight. Do you remember Silverlight?
yes, I
Like
do.
Microsoft abandoned it a long time ago.
Yeah,
So you had
yeah.
like a Silverlight interface, and then you've got EPO, which is written in like HTML5, or not written in, but the interface is HTML5, and you had to go to multiple interfaces to do all these things. You couldn't just control it by EPO. But once EPO, I think, gets its hooks into everything, it's going to be pretty good. And I could be wrong. Again, this is 5 years ago. So anyway, back to John McAfee.
Back
What a
to John
crazy
McAfee.
mofo.
What a crazy movie. A couple quotes, maybe kind of wrap up a little bit of what was in John McAfee's mind. Here, this is going to, in my opinion, you tell me. I think this is a pretty good idea of the two extremes of his personality in a way. Number one is jealousy, greed, fear. We're all full of these things, but also love and compassion. If you saw a drowning baby, it wouldn't matter if you were wearing a tuxedo on the way to your own wedding. You jump in to save him, right? So there's that side of John McAfee. And then there's this side. It says, let me tell you what the truth is. I have learned one thing in life. There is no such thing as bad press. There is not. That's a fundamental truth. The more bad things said about you, the more power they give you. So,
All right. Well, there you go. I
well,
forgot to
maybe that's
mention.
why that side of him fulfilled his bad boy of Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I guess on his Quaalude trip, he would jump in the water to save a baby in a tuxedo. So nice guy.
Yeah.
And then
I forgot to mention his 47 children. I
he
mean,
has he has 47 children.
according to him in a tweet that he made. Yep.
You mean 47 like together 47?
Yep.
That's crazy. I mean, obviously with a lot of different partners. What I'm assuming,
Yes. And according to him, all illegitimate.
all legitimate or illegitimate?
Illegitimate.
Every single one.
He said.
It's like, come on, man. Maybe if a couple of them said, but 47, they can't all be wrong.
I don't know, man. He's just crazy. But good thing is we might see a movie in the works. So uh, King of the Jungle is a script that's been kind of walking around Hollywood. And at various points, Johnny Depp, Michael Keaton, Seth Rogen were reported to have taken roles and then later left the project. So who knows? We might
Hmm.
actually see a movie. Let's hope. Let's cross
I
our
wouldn't
fingers.
mind. I mean, at the very minimum, I don't know if you've seen that little mini documentary on Hugh Hefner's life. It was on HBO for a little bit, about like 10 mini series. That was pretty good. If they do something similar to that for this guy, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Something. Here, this is a quote from him about your beliefs. Beliefs is so raw and so clear and so in your face. There's an opportunity to see something about human nature that you can't really see in politer society. Blah
I
blah
mean,
blah.
I would agree because there was a guy who I met on the beach there who was like selling his reggae CDs, and I was like, "Yeah, it's cool. I'll buy one." And then he tried to sell me a sister, so that
Blah.
happened.
What? I didn't see. I didn't see that coming at all. Like maybe he's gonna be like he tried to sell me like his like sandals or some extra sister.
In front of my wife. Like my wife can vouch for that story. So
Oh my god, that's
yeah,
crazy.
Belize is a crazy place. Perfect place for John McAfee.
Yeah, he was probably in his perfect environment.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt.
That's
So
so funny.
all right, well that's it. That's all I got for hacker history.
All right, Mr. McAfee. It was a real ride. If you're
Rest in
still
peace.
alive, yeah, if you're still alive though, and you happen to listen to this show and are down to do an episode with us,
Oh
you
my
hit
god,
us
wouldn't that
up.
be amazing if we broke it that he was still alive? He's like,
That'd
yeah,
be,
I'll be a guest on your show.
that'd be so funny. Imagine if we break that story. But
In the meantime,
uh,
keep buying Shib.
there is dissatisfaction in all of us. Some of us take out that dissatisfaction by attempting to ruin whatever you are attempting to do. This is a fact of life. And on that note, rest in peace, Mr.
Yeah,
McAfee.
for sure. For sure. Rest in peace. You had quite the life. You should be exhausted.
You should be exhausted. You definitely did. But with that said, yeah, don't forget if you're still listening, maybe one or two people who are there, like, subscribe, follow us. If you find me and Matt online somehow, hit us up. We'll send you something cool. If you have any good conversation topics or anybody you know we should talk to, let us know. And I guess with that, that's all I got. I'll stop talking. Matt?
That's it. That's all I got. I talked enough.
All right. Well, till next time then, Tevora out.
Take care.